Did you know that right here in the United States, there is a place where soldiers from different branches of the military live and work side by side? It's called Fort Campbell, and it straddles the border of southern Kentucky and northern Tennessee. This massive military installation is not only huge in size, but it is also incredibly active. It's home to the U.S. Army's 101st Airborne Division, one of the most renowned divisions in the Army, as well as the elite 5th Special Forces Group, better known as the Green Berets, and the 160th Special Operations Aviation Regiment, also known as the Nightstalkers. Soldiers from these units train here at Fort Campbell before deploying all over the world. The base is also home to a number of other military units, including the 2nd Battalion of the 327th Infantry Regiment, the 1st Battalion of the 502nd Infantry Regiment, and the 3rd Battalion of the 506th Infantry Regiment. In addition to these combat arms units, Fort Campbell is also home to a variety of support units, including military intelligence, civil affairs, psychological operations, and military police. All of these units work together to make Fort Campbell one of the most comprehensive and versatile military installations in the country. This military base is huge, but 90% of it is just woods. The main section of the base, where all the barracks are located, along with the offices, commissaries, and other buildings that are necessary for the base to operate, takes up a relatively small amount of space. The rest of the base, 93,000 acres to be exact, is made up of dense forests, grassy fields, streams, and lakes that are used for live fire exercises and field training. It's a lot of space to maneuver in, which is great for the soldiers who train here, but it also makes for a very large target. If an enemy were to attack this base, they would have a large target to hit. And if they were to take out the main buildings in the center of the base, it would cause massive casualties. All of this is affectionately dubbed the Back 40. There is something strange going on at Fort Campbell. Through years of delving into the strange and unexplained within military contexts, I've noticed Fort Campbell, Kentucky keeps coming up. In my research, reports of hauntings in the base housing, sightings of UFOs, like the famous 1948 Mantell incident, and even Bigfoot sightings, like the one that happened just last year, seem to cluster around this one base. So I did a little digging, and what I found was really interesting. The history of the area dates back to the 1790s, when settlers first started moving into the area. And with them, they brought stories of ghosts and hauntings. One story tells of a young woman named Mary Todd Lincoln, who died under mysterious circumstances. Another story tells of a Civil War widow who haunts the post office. Are these stories true? Who knows? But they make for some interesting history nonetheless. If you want to know more about the history of Fort Campbell and the paranormal activity that has been reported there, stay tuned for more updates. I'm not sure if I've ever told you this before, but I love ghost stories. I mean, who doesn't, right? But this one's different. This one comes from a place called Fort Campbell, which is just outside of Nashville, Tennessee, and it's about a place there known as the Smoke Pit. Now, the story goes that back in the early 90s, there were reports of a large, hairy, bipedal creature that was spotted multiple times by soldiers and even some civilians. And each sighting was so terrifying that it would make your hair stand on end. So naturally, they named it the Dogman. And the story has only grown since then. There are now hundreds of pages worth of details about this creature and its sightings, all compiled in a book called The Chronicles of the Smoke Pit. And while I won't spoil the whole thing for you here, I will say this: the story is not over. In fact, there are new sightings to this day. So if you're ever near Fort Campbell and you hear some strange noises in the forest, you might want to keep your eyes open because you never know what you might see. I was stationed at Fort Campbell. During a 2-week exercise in July, my platoon held a blocking position near Cassidy. It was around midnight and I heard footsteps. I turned around and saw a crouched figure growling like a dog. I flipped my night vision on and the thing bolted toward me at incredible speed. Everyone in the platoon saw it crash through the brush. It was too fast for a man, too big for a deer. Later that night, we heard more growling. this time mixed with heavy panting and what sounded like a wet dog shake. The smell of wet dog permeated the entire area. We all agreed something was out there that night. No one wanted to go outside in the dark. The next morning, we found huge tracks in the mud near our camp. They looked like human footprints, but they were massive. Some things are better left undisturbed. If you hear a growl in the night, don't investigate, just run, another soldier recalled. Our company had secured Cassidy. Then we moved into the woods in pouring rain. We set up defenses near a ditch. Footsteps approached, heavy like the RTO, but no one answered when we called out. Then came loud sniffing, moving around us. Suddenly, something barreled into the ditch and sprinted off into the forest. Too heavy for a coyote, too fast for a hog. We remembered the old Dogman stories told by our first sergeant. Maybe it was just a big dog, but we couldn't see anything in the dark. And the forest was filled with the sounds of heavy breathing and footsteps. Then we saw two glowing eyes staring at us from the trees. The Dogman was real. I felt a tap on my shoulder. When I turned around, I saw the scariest thing I've ever seen. A low growl rumbled in his throat. He leaned in close, his hot breath on my neck, and whispered, "Get out of here, soldier, or I'll kill you." Then he vanished into the night. A third soldier's story is the most chilling of them all. He said during a 4-week training exercise, his buddy screamed that something grabbed him and was trying to pull him into a storm drain. He could hear grunting and feet slapping concrete. And when he looked through his night vision goggles, he saw a creature 8 to 9 feet tall with a canine head, wolf body, and broad shoulders. He fired his weapon at it in fear, and it dropped to all fours and vanished into the woods. He later heard what sounded like a coyote or wolf howling between the platoons, and when they checked his buddy's uniform, they found that it was torn, proving that what they had seen was real. This is the scariest thing I've ever seen in my life. 2 soldiers were bored out of their minds during Operation Lethal Eagle 3, so they decided to sneak off and check out an abandoned training village. They figured it would be a fun place to explore, but inside one of the huts, they found a hole that had been dug through the wall. Then, as they were walking through the tall grass, they spotted the most terrifying thing imaginable. It was a massive wolf-headed figure with glowing eyes. The soldiers were so scared that they backed away slowly and quietly, not wanting to make a sound. They made it back to base shaken and silent. No one knows what that creature was, but some say it's still out there in the tall grass, waiting for its next victims. This is the most terrifying place in America. Dogman legends go back hundreds of years. Long before white settlers arrived, natives told stories of a shapeshifter that walked among them, taking the form of a wolf, a bear, or even a man. The French trappers who came through in the early 1800s didn't believe it. They thought it was just a werewolf, so they named it the loup-garou. In 1887, loggers in Michigan described a horrific creature that looked like a dog, only bigger and with glowing red eyes. It would attack their camps at night, howling and snapping its jaws. In the 1970s, a family was found slaughtered in the land between the Lakes National Recreation Area in Kentucky. This is where the beast of LBL lives, they say. Even today, park rangers hear reports of strange howls echoing through the forest. Just miles away, the soldiers stationed at Fort Campbell's Back 40 have had enough encounters to make it one of the most haunted places in America.